Good afternoon. It is Monday, August 14th. Chris Grier, Dolphin General Manager with me. Chris, hard to believe that it's August 14th already. It seems like not so long ago. We're about a month away from training camp here. You're neck deep in it now.
It is. It's been it's flown by. The coaches were saying that the other day. They're like, wow, first game's approaching really quick here. Yep. So trying to get through these next 3 preseason games healthy and then get the guys work and see where we're at as a team.
Good. We got a lot of stuff to get to. We are on the Audible here this morning or this afternoon. We're on Facebook. You can go ahead and send your questions in. We're on Periscope. Now, if you're watching this or if you wanted to watch this on MiamiDolphin.com, we'll post this later. We're having a little technical difficulties right now, but we'll get that all squared away. You're good to go on Facebook with your questions. Periscope, you guys are good, and we'll catch up with you guys on Miami.com here a little bit later on. Chris, 17 seasons with the Miami Dolphins, first as the general manager. It's been a long road for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been fun. You know, I would have liked to win more games along the way, obviously, here, but I wouldn't trade the experiences and the people I've worked with, the knowledge over the years I've gained. So it's been hard but fun, and I've enjoyed it from the day I was announced as general manager and going forward. It's been great.
When you first got to the Dolphins, was your goal to become a general manager at some point? Was that, or did you know which direction your career was going to take?
Yeah, growing up in a football household, like I've talked with my father, and when he was Coach Parcells and Pete Carroll's general manager there in New England, it was always something I wanted to do. So when I got here and Rick Spielman hired me from the Patriots, that was always a long-term goal. But again, I always tell the guys and people when they always ask about getting in this business, everyone's in such a hurry. This generation, everyone's like, "Oh, you're so young." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm not that young." I said, but everyone wants instant gratification right now, and for me, it was always the process of learning and growing and being around people and taking everything they've learned into shaping to my philosophy and how I think we should help build a team here, a winner that will sustain over time, not just a quick fix this year and win. We had that in 2008, and everyone was like, "Oh, we turned the corner," and we weren't. So
it was a short corner.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So we're just trying to build a team here that's going to win for a long time, not just for one season.
Talk about your first draft, going into your first draft as the guy that's pulling the trigger on these picks. Was there a little nervousness? I'm sure there was excitement and all the things that go, like game time, right? Like getting ready for kickoff. I mean, I'm sure all those emotions were kind of filtering around your body one way or another.
It was. People were asking me, but I wasn't nervous. I was excited.
Yeah.
Again, I've been in draft rooms for 20 years, and when you're in a draft room with Bill Parcells and Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll, and you see guys yelling, you know what I mean? So for me, I was really excited. I thought we were really prepared. I thought our scouts, and Mike and Adam, the coaches, all did a great job, helped getting us prepared. And I thought we had a good process, and I think we have a good result. And, it started last week where a lot of the young guys played well. So really happy right now going forward.
Obviously for you, your first draft, and you get the curveball right off the bat where Laramie Tunsil starts falling down the draft, and there he is. So you're sitting at 13. He's still sitting there on the board, and you got a guy that was most people projected as the best player in the draft. I'm glad you guys picked him up. I'm sure right now you guys are pretty happy that he fell in your laps too.
We are. And Laramie is a good kid, and I think as you've got to know him and the people around here have got to know him, we ended up spending a lot of time with him at the Combine. Our area scout, Matt Winston, did a great job of digging into his background and getting to know high school people, high school coaches, guidance counselors, people at Ole Miss. So it was one of those that as the opportunity arose for us, and that's how we looked at it. It was an opportunity. And as he started to fall, we were like, hey, are we going to take this? And unanimously in the room from Mike Tannenbaum to Steve Ross, Adam Gase. I mean, we were ecstatic that he was there, and we thought we had a chance when he got by Baltimore. And we thought, something's going on here, and so once Tennessee passed on, we felt that we were going to get him.
So you look at Tunsil, you get Xavier Howard. He's nicked up a little bit. Kenyon Drake nicked up. Leonte Cruz, Jakeem Grant, who really raised some eyebrow. And you knew he was going to in the preseason game because you've seen it at practice just about every day. Jordan Lucas, Brandon Dowdy, who looked very good at there, completed a lot of passes, and Thomas Duarte, who made some plays out there. So you look at that crew you've got, and there is a lot of potential in that group, and you have to feel pretty good about that draft in particular.
Yeah, we do. Like you said, we're really excited about them right now. All those guys have come in. They've worked hard. They've worked to learn the playbook. They're playing on special teams, being contributors, and And the thing that makes us proud as an organization is that when you talk to the veteran players about them, and you've seen some of the quotes they've talked about how these guys grind, and so for us, we were just looking for those guys that just love football, had passion, would work, and so a couple of those guys are dinged, but they're working hard, close to coming back. So we're excited to see those guys in the field as well.
You made a signing today, just a little bit of news out there today. Cedric Reed, you signed him from University of State. Is he a rookie or he's got a year in the league already?
It was a year. He was with Buffalo last year on the practice squad. He came out of University of Texas, a defensive end. And, we're banged up a little bit at defensive end. So it was an opportunity to bring him in, take a look at him. So we'll see how he does this week. Speaking
of with Travis Leeson with a question, how many running backs do you end up keeping when it comes to personnel-wise here with this group?
It's going to be a tough decision the way all those guys are playing well. Pede's playing well. Daniel Thomas showed up last week in the coaches' film as we were talking. So, we need to get Drake out here and get him going and see what he can do. But it'll be a competitive group. Right now we're just keeping all options open.
Because you look at this team, a lot of young players, veteran players, guys that have done good things, Pro Bowlers, those types of players, future Hall of Famers. You got guys of that ilk on this football team. Do you like the balance between the youth and the veterans? And I know one thing that came out of the game, certainly the other night, Friday, up in New Jersey against the Giants, when the second group went in, you have to feel good about the depth you've been able to build throughout the course of putting this team together.
Yeah, when I got the job, we talked with Mike and Adam, and we were all in agreement that we needed to build depth for this roster. We saw last year what happened. We had some injuries and things. So in this league, with the game, the way the injuries happened, we just had to build depth. So that was the first order of business. So, we went out and we purposely signed a lot of veteran players because we're a very young football team. I think we're number 2 or 3 in the league in terms of inexperience in terms of players. So for us, it was about adding those veteran guys and guys like Jason Jones that are considered leaders on the team. So those guys have been great in the locker room. So that was, the first order of business. And then once we drafted these players and all these young players to help those guys bring them along. So, for us, when those young kids played last week, they all played, very well, we thought. They responded. They were down 10-0, and there was no panic. And I was really proud of the veteran group. From Sue to everyone on the sidelines were into it. They're helping the young kids through it. And, we fought back, and, we had 27 unanswered points and won. So it was a good showing for the guys.
Always good to win a game, preseason or not. It's nice. I mean, preseason, winning games in the preseason kind of, you learn to win games, and I think that's important. You're watching the Audible right now. I'm with Chris Grier, Kim Bokamper here. Chris is the general manager of the Miami Dolphins. If you got questions for Facebook, go ahead and bring them in. We'll get to those as we go along. And here's a good one from Howie Ziegler. What about guys? Which guys are stepping up when you talk about leadership? The one thing I've seen from where I stand, I've seen Cam Wake a lot more active and a lot more, talking to guys, running out in the field after big plays. And Ndamukong Suh, a little bit more of the same thing. It's pretty clear for me to see from a defensive standpoint, those guys, Rashad Jones, are really taking the mantle of being leaders on that side.
Yeah, and again, it's those guys, and I think when a lot of credit goes to Adam as well. When he came in, he talked about these guys have to start taking ownership of the team and empowering to be leaders. So a lot of those guys have stepped up, like you said, Cam especially. And then even on the other side of the ball, guys that you don't really hear, but Brendan Albert, has been a very good leader there for the offensive line. Ryan Tannehill has been really vocal. People just don't see that stuff. And Kenny Stills has had a fantastic offseason for us in terms of leadership and helping those young receivers come along.
It's good when you have that young group like that where you have people that are willing to step up and put that out. Hey, one thing I always wanted to talk about with a general manager, in a general manager position, beyond player acquisition, what are your day-to-day, what are your day-to-day jobs beyond players acquisition? Because I know you do a lot more than just that, and certainly it's a big part of the franchise and big part of the job in this league. But what other responsibilities do you have to do?
Oh, really? It's Mike, Adam, and I meet constantly.
Yep.
You've probably heard that
Yep.
from the three of us all the time. But it's a constant meetings and communication to make sure things are running smoothly. It's meeting with Brandon Shore and Donna Ponte, on the business side and contracts and stuff. And then it's even everything in the building, it's, we just make sure that, things are running smoothly. Guys are happy here. We talked about changing, how the mood of the building and everything, temperature, and the guys love it, and things that's made me most proud is since I've been general manager, that most people have come through and had a guy that works here, and I walked down the hallway and I went by his office and I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Hey," he comes and he grabs my hand. I was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "Hey, Chris, I just wanted to let you know." He goes, "You're the only one who comes through and says hi to me every day, no matter." He goes, "You haven't changed from day one." So, again, it's just, we spend more. I always joke we spend more time with these guys than I do with my family.
Yeah, well,
so
that's the business, isn't it?
Yeah. So for me, I said I just want to make sure this building feels like they're all a part of it. And it's all about us. It's not about me. It's not about Mike or Adam. It's about all of us, and we all play a part. So just making sure everyone's happy.
I was up today watching the practice this morning, and I just happened to be in one of the areas where there's some of the agents were up there, and they kind of listen to the agents, and that in itself is a unique conversation to sit there and listen to. But you have to have a relationship with these guys, because a lot of these guys you deal with them because they're representing the players that you deal with through negotiations, those types of things. How important is it for you or any general manager in this league to have a relationship with these agents? Because it doesn't matter who the guy is. At some point, he may end up with a guy that you're drafting very high in the draft, and then you've got a direct relationship that you've got to work out with him.
It is. It's important, and at the end of the day, that's how a lot of deals get done.
Yep.
Money talks at the end of the day.
Yep.
Most of the players are going to chase the money, but it's still the relationships with the agents get you that opportunity to sit with players and stuff. So, I think the one advantage we have here is Mike Tannenbaum. He was a previous GM before, and he's also been an agent. So his contacts in that field are incredible. He knows everybody. I mean, you go to the combine, and he knows NBA GMs and agents. His Rolodex is incredible. Yeah. So, for us, it's very important, and I think we do a good job of working to maintain those relationships.
Yeah, these guys. I tell you, it's you listen to these guys sometimes and you think the league's all about the agents, and nothing else. But that's a whole different thing.
They want to turn it into soccer.
Hey, it's crazy.
It's running everything.
It really is amazing. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Ryan Tannehill and where he's at right now, and the work that Adam has done with him during the offseason to get him ready, get him to that next level that everybody wants to see Ryan get to. And I think most people out there believe that he can get to that next level. Do you see it starting to take into effect during this season? I certainly see them doing a lot of work with him out there with, he talked about footwork, moving in the pocket, finding that space in the pocket, and doing all those types of things. How is all that progressing with him?
I think it's right on track. And, it's going to be a progression. He's learning a new system and everything. And the one thing is Ryan's a grinder. The other night left here, and it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and he's down there in the room by himself watching film working. So, the guy has a tremendous work ethic and passion for the game. And again, I think Adam's come in and Adam believes in him. He feels that sense that Adam knows that this is my guy. Yeah. So I think it's progressing on the right track. We're all not happy with anything right now still, but we're trying to get ready for week 1 against Seattle. So I think that's when you'll probably really see, where we're at then.
Now let's go to Emilio Monreal. He says, what defines a Chris Grier team? How about that?
Well, I think it's some of the stuff we talked about before the draft. I want tough guys that love football, because this is a hard game. And if you don't love it, and we've seen it here with players in the past, that, those guys don't make it. There's a lot of guys in the league that have come through or are drafted high. They're like, oh, wow, this guy is unbelievably talented. But if you don't love the game, first of all, you got no chance. But you hear us talking about size, length, speed, big prototypes, So for us, that's what a Chris Grier team looks like. They're big, smart, fast, very competitive, love the game, and versatility.
Good. We're looking forward to this team turning into that type of team and bringing some wins to us. It'd be nice to get back in those playoffs and feel what that's like around here a little bit.
It would be. And, I would just tell the fans to have patience. Yeah. We never promised a quick fix, but it's also we're not looking to tank or anything. We're in this to compete and win this year, but we're trying to build something that's going to win for a long time to keep fans happy here.
Well, I know this about your job. Your plate's full. You've got a lot of things to do, and I know you got to leave right now. We certainly appreciate you coming in and spending some time with us, and hopefully we can get you on here a little bit later on down as the season rolls along.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I said anytime I can come on with the television legend and
movie star like yourself.
Movie star,
okay, As long as I don't have to negotiate anything with you, I'll be all right. I'll have to get some. I'll have to get some help with that. Chris, always a pleasure, man. Take care.
All right.
Keep at it. Chris Grier, general manager of the Miami Dolphins, with him. Good stuff from him as we look at this football team as we're going through training camp, as they're building and trying to become the team that everybody wants them to be, from Adam Gase to Chris Grier to Mike Tannenbaum to everybody, including you, the fans. This is the Audible. You're listening. Kim Bokamper here with you. I'll ride with you the rest of the way, so go ahead and bring your questions along, and we'll go ahead and get to those as we come along. We're on Facebook. You can send your questions on Facebook. I know, well, I don't know why I'm even saying this, because if you're searching for us on MiamiDolphins.com, you can't find us there because we're having some technical difficulties. So you don't know that we're having technical difficulties. But if you're not and you want to catch up on this a little bit later on or see it again, you can catch it on MiamiDolphins.com. Also on Periscope, you can catch us for the rest of the day. Go ahead and get your questions in, and I'll try to answer as many as you can. I'll go to John Ferris first. He says, does Tannehill play more against Dallas this week? I don't think there's any question Ryan Tannehill plays more this week, along with that offensive line. I think you're going to see that offensive line a little bit more, certainly after the way things started last week. And I'll give you this. I'll just give you this from my standpoint as far as veteran players in the first preseason game. First of all, going into the game, you're going to play about 4 to 7 plays. And so the thought process for a lot of veterans going into that game is, you know what, let me get my 6 or 7 plays in, and let me get over on the sideline and eat some sunflower seeds and watch the rest of these guys. So I wouldn't read too much into that, good, bad, or indifferent, no matter what team, whether you're watching the Dolphins or you're watching some other team that you're watching throughout the course of the first preseason. Now this week, though, it becomes a little bit more important. Things get ratcheted up. And certainly as this preseason goes on, Ryan Tannehill, the offense, the offensive line, Laramie Tunzel, all those things, what that makeup is going to be, time is getting shorter and shorter every day. So the urgency is certainly there. We know anybody that's watched football in the National Football League knows that Game 3 during the preseason is a game that veterans are going to get most of their play, probably won't play the 4th preseason game after that. So it's a buildup. More important for this football team. So to simply answer your question, absolutely. I do believe that Ryan Tannehill is going to get more time. I would guess he gets a quarter, maybe nudges into that second quarter. So I think we can expect to see that much out. I can tell you this. When Mike Pouncey leaves, Ryan Tannehill's leaving. That's kind of the story for these guys throughout this preseason. All right. Who's impressed you? Alex says, who's impressed you the most in camp? Well, it's hard to say. You look at rookies, you look at veterans out there. I've watched Laramie Tunzel a lot, and I like to watch. And look, he's got to learn the position. I mean, there's no question about it. He comes from a left tackle to a left guard position. He's got to figure that out a little, but I can tell you this, when he gets somebody, when he's where he's supposed to be, and he gets his hands on somebody, he locks them down. I mean, he gets a grip on them and locks them down. He is going to be a very, very good football player, and if I'm going to bet $1 or $100,000 right now, I'm going to say he's your starting left guard when the season starts, albeit unless something happens to Brandon Albert, and we certainly hope that's not the case going forward. So I think he's looked good. I think when you watch these guys play out there, when Devontae Parker's been healthy, he has been a beast out there. I mean, he's done a lot of good things. Throw the ball up for him, he goes after it. He was back on the practice field today. Not going quite full speed, but he's getting there a little bit. I've said it before on this program. I'll kind of continue to say it. Some of these young guys, including him, they need to figure out what they've got to do work-wise so they can stay on the practice field and get into the games and get their work in. But he has been very, very impressive. Couldn't miss the game the other night without looking at Jakeem Grant and saying, wow, you knew this kid was fast. You knew he was little. You knew he could return kicks. But had some tough punts he had to deal with, was able to catch the punts. I think going into that game, that was a big question for him going in that game. Really hadn't returned punts during his college career, so whether he could catch those balls under duress, I think that was a question for him, at least from where I stood. I thought he played pretty well. I thought he made some good moves. And look, he's one of those guys, he's going to give us those eye-opening plays, and he certainly did that on Friday night. So at least from where I sit, that's kind of where I look at that situation. Butch Ramsey, can you give us a view on the cornerback situation? Cornerback. Well, cornerback is a position in flux right now. I know this. Byron Maxwell, very happy with him. He kind of tweaked his hamstring or his groin, was going to play on Friday night, was going to start the game, tweaked it a little bit, or it got tight during the lightning delay for about 45 minutes, so they decided to keep him off the field. He's looked good. But the guy that I think they're really waiting for, Xavier Maxwell or Xavier Howard, they like everything about him. They like his size. He's a 4'4" guy, big guy. He can cover zone. He can cover man-to-man. He's a physical guy. So they're waiting to see him. Beyond that, I think you saw McCain, not Bryce McCain. What's our McCain out there? Come on, give me the McCain. My man Neon Leon, my producer, is not listening to me right now. So anyway, McCain, the cornerback. Bobby McCain, there's so many McCains. Chris McCain, Bryce McCain last year, Bobby McCain. But Bobby McCain, I thought stepped up. I thought he attacked the ball well. I thought he played the ball well. Came up with the interception. He's playing in that nickel position, so I think he had a good showing there. Probably get an opportunity to maybe even get a little start at that nickel position this week. But I've also said this, and I do believe this, that it very well could be that the starter opposite Byron Maxwell when the Dolphins open the season in Seattle may not even be in Dolphin training camp right now. I think they're looking. They've gone out and they've brought some cornerbacks in, and so they're trying to make some things happen. They're trying to get some guys that can come in and give them a little depth there. So I think that's going to be a position that's going to be a work in progress until we get to the regular season. So I think that's what we think. I gave you Esteban Cabreros asked me a question about Jakeem Grant. I think I told you about him. I tell you, I enjoyed talking to him after the game. Lively guy, fun guy, believes in himself, very confident. And I asked him a question. I said, "You're gonna do just enough to make these guys have to put you out there and play and put them in the roster." He said, "That's right, sir. I'm going to do that." So certainly like that attitude, and certainly like what we saw out of him early on this year. A lot of guys asking about Grant. Sam Sellender, how many kick returns do you think Grant will get this year? You know, that's a funny question to answer right now, only because with the touchbacks going to the 25-yard line this season, the question out there, I think you saw the New York Giants do it on a kickoff last Friday night where they didn't kick it to the end zone. They kicked it short, forcing the kick returner to pick up the football and keep it since the ball is in play, and trying to hoping that your team can get down there and keep them short of the 25-yard line. So, the question may not be who your kick returner is and how many kick returns you're going to get. It may be how many kick returns that you're going to get where the ball goes to the kick returner where they don't have to come up and catch the ball before it reaches the goal line. So kicking short, that may be the tactic that comes into vogue with the Miami or with the teams around the National Football League this year since they've gone to the new rule change with the 25-yard being where the ball is placed after a touchback. So that's going to be something to watch, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes on when as things go along. Hey, you're listening to the Audible. I'm Kim Bokamper. You can send your questions along on Facebook. You can catch us on Periscope, MiamiDolphins.com. We'll be on a little tape delay basis here because we've got a little technical difficulty as far as that concerned, but we'll go ahead and continue to answer your questions as we go along. All right, who will be on the offensive line at the end of the preseason? All right, I'll give you my prediction right now. It is going to be Brandon Albert. It's going to be Laramie Tunsil. It's going to be Mike Pouncey. I think it's going to be Dallas Thomas, and then I think it's going to be on the right side. Obviously, it's going to be Juwan James. I think that's the way it's going to end up. Now, the one guy that I think the wild card in that whole mix to me is the 10-year veteran, two-time Pro Bowler Jermon Bushrod. I think Bushrod is that big body in there. He's been in there. He's done it. He knows what to expect. Both guards, Billy Turner, Dallas Thomas, struggled a little bit on Friday night. Both of them still have to find a way. And they've had plenty of opportunities. They have plenty of snaps. They've had plenty of experience out there. They've got to find a way to get better. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bushrod is a guy that somehow doesn't slide in there. And when the opening game, when they kick the ball off up in Seattle on opening day, that Jermon Bushrod is not the guy that sits at that right guard position. But if I had to wager my house right now, I would say Tunsil's a starter at left guard, unless, as I said earlier in the program, and look, this is the last thing we want to see happen around here, is have anything happen to Brandon Albert. So I think that's the way that the thing is going to roll along. All right, let's see where are we at. Let's go to Robert Boyette here real quick. I'll take another question. Will the defense be able to cover the Patriots' upgraded tight end sets when they played them towards the end of the season? Upgraded tight end sets when they play them towards the end of the season. Good question there. As long as they got Gronk running down the field, that's going to be a tough cover. It's a tough cover for everybody in the National Football League and tight ends in general. Tight ends in this league, used to have a lot of good tight ends in this league, but now the tight end position, they've kind of eliminated the fullback position from this league. They've got the tight end has become a lot more of an offensive weapon, especially running down the seams, getting deep. So much so that you're seeing the tight ends be less of blockers, more of a in-between wide receiver, tight end type of a guy, almost like a Thomas Duarte type of guy that the Dolphins have. And so it's changed a lot. But what they've got up there in Gronk, they've got a big, strong, physical guy that can catch the ball. He can carry defenders and make things happen. So, look, don't be surprised if he gives you the troubles that he does each and every time. Although, the Dolphins would have to try different things on him. I know one time they're out there, they tried when Deion Jordan was out there. I think that Jordan tried to rough him up out there sometimes. So it's going to be a tough one. Playing our tight ends for the New England Patriots have become a major, major part of that football team. And we know about the Patriots, play them twice a year, and so we're going to have to deal with them. Obviously, the first time out, week 2 of the season, Tom Brady not going to be there. And that's that's one of those opportunities where you have to take advantage. If you can get a win up there week 2 and then come back here, play them on January 1st, the last game of the season, I kind of like the way things are as far as that's concerned. All right, will the starting D-line play this preseason game? That's coming to you from Stan. I can tell you this, yes, they will. They will play this preseason game, probably play close to a quarter, as I said with Ryan Tannehill earlier. One of the reasons being the Dallas offensive line, big, strong, physical. They're going to play, and I know the Dolphins want to see their front guys, their starting front 4, talking about Mario Williams, talking about Ndamukong Suh, talking about Earl Mitchell, talking about the Cam Wake. They're going to want to see those guys face a very, very strong, very, very talented offensive line during the preseason. They're going to get that opportunity in Dallas this Friday night. So, tune in early and watch that one. It's going to be a pretty good battle because I watched Ndamukong Suh last year during the preseason. I've seen Cam Wake for years down here. I've never seen those guys as excited, as vocal, as much trying to push guys to get better and better and better as I've seen them this year. So they're going to want to get out and they're going to want to show what they've been doing. So I think it's a good opportunity to see them against what is a very, very good offensive line of the Dallas Cowboys. All right, you are listening to the Audible. Kim Bokamper with here. We'll continue to go on and grab some of your questions as we move along. It's nice to have Chris Grier with us, the general manager of the Miami Dolphins, earlier along and get some of his thoughts about what he's seeing on the football field and what his expectations are about this football team. All right, Natalie Strong-Marin. Who do you think will make up our running back group for the regular season? Arian Foster, I think he's got the leg up right now if he can stay healthy, if he stays healthy throughout the preseason. I think obviously Jay Ajayi is the guy they want. Daniel Thomas looked pretty good the other day. I think Kenyon Drake needs to get himself healthy. He needs to get himself into the mix. So I think there's opportunities there for those guys. I think those guys are the 4 guys that are in play the most when it comes to that running back position. I know Pede did some pretty good things in the game the other night, number 22. So he's in the mix also, but I'm not sure that he's going to find his way in that mix if each and every one of those guys remains healthy moving forward. So that's kind of the way that I see it. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for today. We're going to wrap up the program. I want to thank Chris Grier for being with us. Join us our next show on Wednesday, 4:30. Friday again at 4:30. I believe Friday at 4:30. We'll be live again in Dallas. We're live in New York in the Meadowlands for the first preseason game, myself and Joe Rose. We're going to go ahead and go on the road again on Friday. We'll do it again, so you can catch us there Friday at 3:30 again. 3:30 on Wednesday. Remember, you can do it. You catch us on Facebook. You can send in your questions. You can catch us on Periscope. And you can catch us anytime on MiamiDolphins.com. It's been a pleasure being with you. We'll catch you again next time. Have a good day. This has been The Audible.